We were so close. Welcome to Zlatan's Fight Picks. Recap of UFC 284. Well, we were close. We had a bad decision that cost us a few parlays just because of where it happened. We also had a close decision because of a fighter that didn't quite perform. Otherwise, it would have been a very profitable day, but we did win a little bit, but we could have won a lot more. But unfortunately, it did not quite work out. But it worked out a little bit. We'll go over what went right, what went wrong. We'll talk about the board. We'll go over the fights, and then we'll go over the board. So, Tyson Pedro, Modestas Bukauskas. Modestas Bukauskas had taken a couple fights out of the UFC after he got kicked out because of consecutive losses. Tyson Pedro was making his way back in. There was a lot of hype behind Tyson Pedro, but as we saw, he is primarily a first round type of guy. He likes to get people out in the first round and tends to fade as the fight goes on. Modesta came in, good gas tank, hard fight plan, wanted to grind it out, did really well. And I'll tell you the truth, he had it was dead even in the third round. Up to the third round, I think they split. Tyson took the first round, Modesta took the second round. The third round was dead even, and the last 25 seconds, Modesta turned it up and emptied the gas tank and just started swinging. He hit some, he missed most of them, but the visual of him attacking Pedro in such a close round gave Modesta the round. That's basically how close it was. But Tyson Pedro he was a huge favorite, so I mean, well overrated. But then Modestas took that round, 20 overall for the judges, 29-28. Next fight, Shane Young, Blake Builder. Blake Builder did really well. He's really good on the ground, very durable. He had a lot of side-to-side a lot of side-to-side movement that Shane Young had a hard time coping with. He continually was chasing him. Shane Young's a tough guy. He's a fairly good fighter. Blake Builder showed us that he was the real deal, and he won a unanimous decision. He took Shane to the ground one time. Considering Shane has really good takedown defense, he did really well, and of course he's never been submitted, so he didn't get submitted. But Blake Builder did win the round decisively. Lots of volume from him. He showed and really tough. Took a few shots and kept going, and kept moving, and didn't get tired. So looking forward to seeing him fight again. We had picked Blake Builder in that as well for 50 plus, but it's something that we'll go over on the board. Loma Lookboonmee versus Elise Reed. Loma Lookboonmee looked fairly good. Elise Reed looked really sharp on the feet, and even ended up on top of Loma at one point in the first round. And Loma wasn't having any part of that. In the next round, she kind of took over, attacked Elise Reed, and ended up getting on top and immediately choked her out really quick. So Loma showed a new wrinkle to her game, a submission game. She seemed really good, and she was a high probability pick, and she worked out fairly well, and she ended it in the second round. Next fight, Jack Jenkins, Don Shainis. Jack Jenkins, fairly high probability pick. He did really well, well-rounded, good on the ground, good on the feet, great leg kicks. Stopped most of the takedown attempts from Don Shainis. Don Shainis, a real grinder. He lost the fight, but you know what? He's really game, and he's a fun guy to watch, and I hope we see him again. But Jack Jenkins showed that he was the real deal, and he's pretty solid, and he won an easy unanimous decision. And looking forward to seeing him. He was our high probability pick, so it worked out. Jamie Malarkey and Francisco Prada. Francisco Prada is a 20-year-old undefeated fighter from Argentina. He showed up to fight, showed up to brawl. He did really well. He wasn't stopped, but Jamie Malarkey definitely dominated the fight. Francisco Prada had some moments, But for the most part, Jamie Mullarkey had the longer reach, fought a really smart fight, didn't get too involved with the big brawls, fought him from the outside. And if he did come in, he came in basically for the takedown when he went into that danger zone. And I was worried about how Jamie Mullarkey was going to respond to the crowd. I thought maybe he was going to sit and start banging with this guy, which was the only path to victory for Prada, even though Prada had a couple of nice Kimura attempts. But Jamie Mullarkey stuck to the game plan, won the fight, was fairly easy. I had him as a 50-50, even though I had picked Jamie Mullarkey in one of my parlays. I just didn't want to commit to it, but I was leaning towards him, and I ended up picking him in a parlay, so it worked out. Next fight, Shannon Ross versus Kleidson Rodriguez. Shannon Ross got dominated. Kleidson Rodriguez showed up to fight. You know what? He was a really good fighter. He fought Vergara last time, and I don't know if Kleidson was really that bad as much as Vergara probably was the best we've ever seen him. And because of that fight, people were like, well, maybe this Kleidson guy's not that good. Well, he came out, he dominated Shannon Ross, took him out in the first half of the round. Fantastic kicks, spinning kicks, body shots, you name it. He threw everything at him and took him out. He showed up. He showed up, and we definitely now we know why was such a highly touted prospect. Vergara was a little bit of a hiccup. I'm hoping it's not a consistency issue where you're going to see him show up and then not show up and stuff like that. But he seemed fairly strong. He was our pick. We are leaning towards him. Next fight, Joshua Kulibau versus Melsik Bagdasaryan. You know what? We had this as a 50-50. In one of my parlays that I had an extended parlay, kind of a Hail Mary parlay, I did pick Josh Kulibau to win this. I had figured he would squeeze this out, but it was a 50-50 on the board. And yeah, it was a very close fight for both fighters. Right down in the first round, it was dead even. And in the second round, Josh Kulibau managed to knock down Bagdasaryan, and he immediately jumped on him and choked him. He didn't even have his hooks in, kind of jumped on his back, put the choke in. Josh Kulibau has been working on his game. Like, he's much more well-rounded than we first ever saw him. I mean, when we first saw him, he was just kind of a boxer. Then, he had to work in takedown defense, and now he's actually got some submissions going on. He's fast, he's durable, and he's really exciting to watch. It was going to be a close fight, and I think it worked out for us. I had put him in a parlay, so it worked out. But who knows, if he did not get that choke, what would have happened? It would have definitely been a close fight. Next fight, Zubara Tukugov versus Elvis Brenner. Well, Zubara Tukugov cost us 4 parlays because he was a high probability pick, and if he had won the split decision, it would have been a totally different night for money. So, but we ended up a small amount of parlays, but it was the first fight, first loss. It didn't start off well. High probability pick. You know what? I mean, it was a split decision. I personally saw the fight, and then I watched Zubara. I thought he won the fight. I don't think he won it by a lot. He definitely did the more accurate striking. Elvis Brenner came in swinging, made some big motions and big movements, but he didn't outstrike Zubara. I think Zubara could have done a little more. I think he came in, I don't know, he just came in overweight. It just seems like he's just collecting a paycheck. He definitely could have done a little more to win the fight, but he obviously thought he won the fight, and he thought he had done just enough, and that was good enough for him, which is not really something you want to see in a fighter. But it was a split decision, and they gave it to Elvis. Even though I don't think, legitimately, I think Zubara did win that fight. I think the judges should have given it to him. And that would have been a totally different night for us. So, next fight. Alonzo Minifield, Jimmy Crute. Jimmy Crute, high probability pick. man, this guy sucks. I've never been high on Alonzo Minifield. I always want to fade Alonzo Minifield. Um, and you see why in the fight, because Alonzo Minifield in the first round almost had Jimmy Crute out. Jimmy Crute barely survived, and Alonzo Minifield kept fading and fading and fading as the fight went on. And he did end up winning the fight, but of course he lost a point, which made it a majority draw. And he should have lost the point. It was kind of a game-changing move fence grab where in the third round, Jimmy Crute was about to take him down, and we already knew that once he was going to be taken down, he wasn't going to get back up. He fence grabbed, and I think the ref had warned him in the first round or second round. He gave him a slight warning. So he took a point away. It was a fast point, but nevertheless, I really thought it was a game-changing move. But we ended up, that fight ended up not actually hurting us because it was a draw, a majority draw. So it was a push. But we had picked Jimmy Crute, and Jimmy Crute, he had a great first round. He got tired too. A lot of Hail Marys. I mean, the fact is that he's a terrible striker. And when he does take people into the ground, he doesn't really keep them down. He doesn't really know how to finish them. I mean, Alonzo Minifield got up quite a few times at the beginning before he got too tired. And Jimmy Crute, I mean, he's just a terrible striker. He's really got to work on that. When he strikes, he fights like, he reminds me of Ronda Rousey. Just the way kind of that awkward bounce, back and forth. Whenever I see him, I think of Ronda Rousey, and she got exposed for how badly her striking was. And he needs to definitely work on his striking and maybe just be more technical. But it was a push for us. Next fight, Justin Tafa, Parker Porter. We slightly leaned towards Parker Porter. I thought Parker Porter could win this. Justin Tafa, he's a knockout guy. If he didn't get the knockout, he wasn't going to win. Parker Porter came in, fought, got cut lunging in. And Justin Tafa, being, surprisingly fast hands, caught him coming in with a couple of shots and knocked Parker Porter out fairly easily. You know what? I mean, Justin Tafa doesn't catch him with that shot. They get it of the first round. It's probably Parker Porter's fight as Tafa wears down and becomes less dangerous. But he did get caught, unfortunately. And that's why he was at a 50 plus, which means he was further down because we just didn't know. I mean, with these heavyweights, anything can happen. And here I calling Justin Tafa the wish version of Tai Tuivasa. But he definitely got a really good knockout. It was a good knockout. I don't know if he got the bonus, but he should have got the bonus. Excuse me. Next fight, Randy Brown versus Jack Maddalena. Jack Maddalena, high probability pick for us, and he showed why. Randy Brown, great fighter. Jack Maddalena had to stay back. Randy Brown kept him out at distance. Good range finder. He kept kicking him, and Maddalena figured out, finally got it into striking distance up against the fence, and he showed exactly why he's so highly touted. One punch knocked him out. It was a good punch. Jack Maddalena is definitely somebody to watch. Next fight, Yair Rodriguez, Josh Emmett. I got this fight as a 50-50. Personally, on one of my parlays, I actually picked Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett, I figured he might pull this off because he's 39 years old or 37 years old. This was his shot. Yair Rodriguez, he's the better striker. But I thought maybe because of his kicks, Josh Emmett could use those to take him down, but he couldn't. Yair Rodriguez just kicked him to the body. He might have even broken some ribs. He dominated that fight. It wasn't even close. This is Josh Emmett's last kick at the cat. I think he's getting too old now. I don't think he's going to have a chance to win some more fights and have another shot at this. I think this was it. Yair Rodriguez is a young guy. He continues to get better. Did really well in that fight. Good for him. He's the interim champ. And he's going to be fighting Alexander Volkanovski. Next fight, Islam Makhachev versus Alexander Volkanovski. I had on my board Islam as the favorite, not a huge favorite, a little favorite. And I also had made a caveat where I will duplicate the bets where every time I have Islam, I'll have another bet with Alexander Volkanovski because he's somebody I support, he's a fellow Macedonian, and I thought this guy is so good and so cerebral, he could figure out something that nobody else has seen. And sure enough, he did. What a great fight. That fight was close. I actually thought that they could have given him, I don't know if it was the fourth round. It was one of the rounds where Makhachev had taken his back. Volkanovski was lying down. He couldn't get out of it. But Makhachev was not doing anything. At the end of the round, in the last minute, 45 seconds, Alexander Volkanovski was just reaching back and punching him and punching him and punching him and punching him. Makhachev hit him a couple of times, but by far 80% of the strikes were from Alexander Volkanovski. And I was thinking like they could give him that round because apart from taking his back and lying down, Makhachev didn't do anything. And I actually thought that they were going to give him that round. They didn't give him that round, but Alexander Volkanovski fought through it. It ended up in the fifth round that Alexander Volkanovski's on top of Makhachev, trying to rain down punches. Makhachev keeping him away with his feet. Alexander Volkanovski tagging him a couple times and just trying to reach him. Well, he is shorter, so he was actually trying to reach him. It was a fantastic fight. Very close. Islam won as expected. Alexander Volkanovski was very close to winning that. And on all the parlays that I had, Alexander, the payouts would have been so much bigger because he was such a big underdog. But nevertheless, let's go over the board and we will continue. Let's move this. Oh, I might even try to splice this, actually, so we don't have to have this moment where I move the camera. We'll see if I can master that. All right, we're here. We're good. Everyone can see. Oops. What's going on? You see the board? Yeah. Board looks good. Perfect. All right. Our 60%. Madalena came in, so we had a parlay here. This split decision, which he should have won, and I think he did win, ruined that. One small parlay. This parlay here, the two fighter parlay won. This one we didn't do. This 2-fight parlay won. Pedro, so close. This if he did not, if he had just been able to turn it up in the third round, it would have been definitely a split decision. Could have gone his way, but Modestus came through, so this was really close. Tukugov, because he didn't win, we had a parlay where we went these two, that got ruined. These three, that got ruined, and then these four. So that's 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 parlays that this split decision ruined. Coming up to Pedro. Then, of course, the further ones didn't go here, and of course, he got knocked out. Unfortunately, and then here, Rodriguez won, Kulibao, Malarkey. Myself, I did have this in a parlay, and I had Emmett, Kulibao, Malarkey. I was one off on that. So the bet online, where we have wins inside this distance, decision, no action. We had won all our fights. Madalena won inside the distance. We won on that bet. Tafa won inside the distance. Won on that bet. Tukugov went to a decision, so that bet was pushed. Clydson won inside the distance. We won that bet. Jenkins went to a decision. It got pushed. Builder went to a decision. Got pushed. Pedro went to a decision. Got pushed. So we did no losses in those 3 fights by winning inside the distance. On the bet online, there's a 50% deposit match up to $1,000. I have a link in the description if you guys want to get involved with anything like that. That's the first bet. We'll be adding more different prop bets as this stream continues, as we evolve, just to have different parts to this that we can hopefully make a little money at and have some entertainment. Of course, bet what you can afford to lose, and nothing's guaranteed, guys. Unfortunately, this is the fight game, and there's nothing that's guaranteed that we're going to win. Hopefully, we come out ahead in the end of the year, and one of these times we're going to hit some. And we're going to hit something fairly big, and we're going to hit something medium, and we might hit some small, and hope, as long as we hit a little bit, but we haven't gone through a week where we've hit nothing. So that's something to build on. Anyways. Well, thank you very much for joining me. I'll put out the video for tomorrow, I believe. Either I'll get it out tomorrow or the following day for the analysis for UFC, which one is it? 68. Andrade versus Blanchfield. Something like that. So, anyways, so I'll get that video out tomorrow. Hope to see you guys soon. Thank you very much for joining me. Don't forget, like the video if you like the content. Subscribe if you want to get notifications. Thank you.